All right, everybody, we are back. Game number 2, Intense versus Huck. Okay, so let's introduce the players. Up in the top right-hand corner is Intense as our blue Terran. He just unfortunately lost his first matchup against Huck, so this is do or die time. He needs to win this game. Down in the bottom left-hand corner is Huck. And this is actually on a new map pool map. Let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on this map here, Promise?
You know, this is a new map, as you mentioned, added to the MLG Pro Circuit. I think this is going to be circled around throughout every event or every city they go to, and it is indeed quite an interesting, fun little map. Now, I think this was taken from the Pro League, which is, of course, the tournament where most of the top American or top Koreans, Americans don't go there. You're just going to get your butt whipped. But it's a big map, and it is a one. I think it's a one-on-one map. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a two-player map. It's going to be the first time casting this, but as we see, they are going to be cross positions. And the way the map's designed, as I'm showing you guys on screen, is it's very easy to go ahead and take this natural expansion. Third expansion, going to be a little bit harder. Generally, you want to take this one towards the left side, which can be very far away from your natural, which can become a problem possibly for Protoss players. Or you can even take this third base, which you have to kind of defend this area, have a little bit of a choke or a ramp leading into the third, and maybe, you know, two-pronged attacks might be a little bit problematic for Protoss. So I would say, based on seeing these little things, it's not the worst map for Protoss, but I would say maybe it might favor Terran play or even Zerg play, you know, in the TVZ matchup or something like that.
No, absolutely. And there's a couple of things that I have some concerns with regards to this map. For starters, the center is quite open. It's very easy to get around. So in TVZs, anything basically with swarming units, Zerg is going to have an advantage in the open center areas of the map. Now, with the MLG version, unlike the ladder version you can spawn in any of the 4 locations. There's one in the top left, bottom right, as well as the top right and bottom left, which is ones we're seeing today. The MLG version of this map for this tournament, from what I've gathered and what I've read, this map is spawn locations top right, bottom left only. And the reason being is that the bottom right and the top left positions are very hard to defend because it's a double ramp up. It doesn't have an easy natural to defend. It really rewards Reaper action, believe it or not, and so it gives it's Imba for Terran. As if the Hellbats weren't already, but
make Hellbats on any map, man. It's Imba regardless.
They're Imba for Terran, so yeah, this map is a little bit imbalanced, but like you said, unbelievably easy to take a third. Your natural third. You always take the one that's closest to your base. If you're on the bottom, it's the one to your right. If you're on the top position, it's the one to your left. It's a good, solid, all-around map. I do like it. That being said, it has to be fixed positions because of the fact that the top right and bottom right, top left positions are just so hard to defend. It makes for kind of weird gameplay. So I'm happy to see MLG doing what they need to do in order to make this map as fun as it is and on their tournament as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the dynamic matches are on one-player maps when, you know, they're spawned cross positions, because if you have them close, you tend to see a lot of just all-in play and nothing very special and fun to watch and to just talk about. So definitely big props to MLG kind of mixing in their ladder pool and adding in a map like this one. So, you know, this can play a little bit in the favor of Huck, because, you know, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but when you have, you know, a team like EG, you probably have a few people that practice with each other. And maybe before this tournament, Huck, you know, got Zen aside and told him, hey, you know what, let's play a bunch of best-of-3s on this map, because I need to practice in case of Terran. So going into this, maybe if that's the case for Huck, he should have more experience on this map. Maybe if he decides to do, you know, War Prism play, he's going to have a few angles where he can just enter his opponent's main base and take advantage of the terrain in his favor. But on the other side, Intense has a bunch of people he can practice with as well on the Clarity Gaming Pro team and the Academy team. So it can go both ways. Intense, though, down 1-0 in this best-of-3. He's definitely going to have to make the smart choices to try to come back in this best-of-3 series.
No, absolutely. He held his own really well last game, and he was at par all the way until the end of the game. It was at that particular point that he started to lose. So I don't question Intense's ability to be able to control his units. His decision-making seems to be quite sound for the most part, and he's playing very good StarCraft. Huck, at the same token, is also playing unbelievably good StarCraft. I would honestly say this is some of the best StarCraft I've seen out of Huck in a long time. I haven't seen him throw away needlessly units. I haven't seen him do any extended pushes where he's trying to do the same strategy for long periods of time. He's now trying to push into these later game, like get into these I guess you could say 2 base builds and then expanding behind that and macroing and not being resistant to playing longer games if need be. And I think that's the style that's currently being played now on the meta game is it's always 2 base or bigger, but still shorter. And it augments his style because he does like to have that early harass and control play like you're mentioning in the last game. But at the same token, I really do like the fact that it seems that he's adapted his play style to Heart of the Swarm very, very well. And it shows in his performance. He's playing really good, solid StarCraft at this particular point in time.
Yes, and the Warp Prism, as we mentioned a little bit before in the cast, the buff, I feel, favors Huck quite well. He's a player that likes to multitask. He's a player that likes to be very, very aggressive. So maybe, if you give him a few months' time, he can really figure out some nice timings and some nice opportunities to really take advantage of the Warp Prism play. But build orders so far, as we haven't really talked about it too much, we're seeing Double Forge from Huck. We're seeing a robotics facility. Of course, he does have that observer placed towards the center of the map and another observer on the right side in case of any sort of medevac play, quickly here for Intense. And Intense actually switching up just a little bit. He's not really committing very heavily on 2 base. He's taking a pretty quick 3rd command center. He should throw down an engineering, but actually already did. So his upgrades are basically kicking here for himself. And right now, Huck, does he go for a Colossus transition? Does he stay with this gateway play and go into Twilight and go into Storm, which is what it's looking like for the Protoss player, as we saw an amazing composition last game of Charge Lot, Archon, and Immortal. But this push by Intense is so smart to see. If a Protoss player is rushing Storm or rushing Templar, if you can get on the map as a Terran player around this time, you can really, really start to deal some damage.
At the same token, it looks like Huck has taken advantage of a 1-1 timing of his own. He has 1-1 upgrades on these Zealots. He just dropped off a batch of 2 and also warped in a batch of 4 more to supplement them, or stand if I corrected, 5 more. And now Intense has his hands full. Has he lost any workers? Only 4 as it sits right this second. And so, but things looking really, really good. Huck putting a lot of pressure on him. However, that being said, a little bit of a poke here by Intense. Medevac showing up over in front of the natural of Huck. So Huck is going to have to defend while at the same token trying to apply some aggression. Zealots are still going to town up in Intense's base. Things not looking good there for him at all. And it looks like he's just trying to build up a force and get on up there. He's doing some unbelievably good micro, trying to keep everything together. Takes out the remainder, or rather a handful more. However, that being said, Huck is just continuing to warp in. He took advantage of that warp prism speed, getting it across, timing it really, really well with that 1-1 upgrade, and then just dropping everything off. And it's just the Zealots going to town as it sits right now. You can even see that Huck is just pushing the warp prism forward, but unfortunately it does get sniped, and that will end this aggression as it sits for this moment.
28 workers killed, Nightshade. First it was 5, then it was 10. 28 workers killed. That is game-changing. And if Intense is going to lose this game, it's going to be based on losing that many workers. Comparing the economy, 51 probes to 35. So by the looks of it, it's not that bad. But take note that 3rd command center was there for a very long time, so he can drop mules all day, every day. And you know what? Huck now is in a very good position. He's transitioning into Colossus. He realizes he doesn't really have to rush to Storm. He's just going to focus on Shard Slot, Colossi, with a bunch of Blink Stalkers and some Immortals, which is just a ridiculously hard army to attack into. And now it's going to be up to Intense to scout it out. We're going to see a few force fields here being placed down by Huck to deny any sort of a run-in here by Intense. Intense, meanwhile, back home getting the armory so we can go ahead and get started on 2-2. Huck already on top of it. He's getting his 2-2 a lot sooner compared to Intense. So in every regard at this point, the Canadian Protoss should definitely be in a pretty good position at just dealing damage and possibly just, going across the map and killing his opponent.
Yep, absolutely. And it looks like a quick scan here by Intense. He's going to push up the ramp and see if he can have a go. And looks like he's going to stem push forward. Nice force fields cutting this army directly in half. And it gets absolutely ripped apart here. Photon overcharge going down. And it's just the probably the worst possible situation for Intense. I mean, he could have lost all of his military, but he did not fare so well in that. I think Huck didn't lose a single unit in that engagement. It was just so powerful and so good. And like you say, upgrade point of view, Huck has that +2/+2 literally finishing up in 30 seconds. He's going to have that extended thermal lance in about a minute and a half or so. And Blink is also going to be timed up with that 2/2 upgrade. So it might look like it's a 2/2 Blink Stalker timing that he's going to push with. Although that being said, I think Intense sitting here with this force is just applying a little bit of, I guess you could say, subliminal pressure on Huck to keep him from pushing on out. But we do look around. You can see that actually Intense is kiting a Marine all the way around on the left-hand side. But I digress. It's funny as heck to watch. Like, it's trying to slow down a Nexus from going down, but it did ultimately go down. So Huck taking his third. Yep, the Marine is dead. I heard it die. And that being said, the third is up, and for Intense, let's just take a quick look at the worker count. And Intense is caught up. Oh my goodness. He's surpassed Huck in worker count.
It's that third command center, man. If you can drop mules, you'll have a lot of SCVs. And that's what we're seeing in this game.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. I'm actually very surprised. I want to just take a quick look at the army supply. It's pretty much even Steven as it sits right now, but the Colossus, it's going to be a big factor there as well. Marauders are showing up. It looks like a bit of a poke and a stem to try and get Intense's military. He's spreading them out so that splash damage of the Colossus. The Colossus is just poked out, but the force field saved the day, and the Colossus gets to survive. He almost got sniped.
And you know what? Intense has a supply advantage, 154 to 126. If you take note that third base, look at this little setup he has going on. He has 3 supply depots in that bunker in that back, so he doesn't have to deal with any sort of War Prism play. And even though he's down in upgrades, his army is actually quite powerful. He has a good amount of Marines, good amount of Marauders, maybe a few more Vikings to deal with the Colossi, but he's going to eventually need to transition into Templar, or excuse me, wow, imagine Marines with Templars and running storms all day, every day. He needs to transition into Ghosts, because Huck is now going to have Storm, which is halfway completed. And when you have Colossi, Storm, Archons, and Charge Lots, and 3/3 upgrades, it all comes down to the ratio of units you're making. How many Vikings are you making? How many Ghosts are you making? Are you able to split your units to be able to deal with the Protoss army? And Intense, he needs to get a Ghost Academy. That's the part that's worrying me about, about his play in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to get that Ghost Economy. The Ghost Academy needs to get it now. So then that way it's finished. He can get Cloak up. He can get some energy charged up on the Ghost so that he can actually throw down some good EMPs or even nukes if he decides to go that route. But really, the EMP is where he needs to be. However, there is a small hit squad at the top of the map that is moving its way down, but a warp in here with a good number of Zealots. 3-3 Zealots are pretty darn good against 2-2. MMM ball, and however, that being said, some good kiting action is going to push it back. A photon overcharge is going to keep Intense at bay, but also the same token, he does have the bulk of his forces just sitting outside of the natural. And a quick blink forward here by Huck, and it looks like he wants to engage. He's going to be able to snipe a medevac. Nope, he's not going to be able to. And very well done job at getting the afterburners done up so that the medevac gets out. And it looks like it's going to be an engage, but again, Intense backing out wisely, does not want to engage this force directly quite yet. He wants to dictate the terms that this is going to be done, but however, medevac's getting shot out of the sky by these stalkers, and this continued aggression by Huck with the support of these 2 Colossus pushing on up. And again, you can see Intense doing everything in his power to try and engage this as well as he can, but Storm's just getting thrown down on top of the bio, and they are mopped up so quickly.
And you know what? Huck wants to engage into it. He sees no Ghosts. He has Storm. He knows he can easily clean up that army. There's a GG well played coming out from both sides, and Evil Genius's Huck takes the 2-0 victory over his opponent. Very well played by the Canadian Protoss. And guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take another little break because we have some more matches to get through. When we come back, we will be jumping into another amazing MLG Spring Championship match. Probably going to be another best of 3, of course. I'm super excited for all these matches coming up. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Buy that 1080p. $9.99 is all you have to pay to watch our beautiful faces in the amazing 1080p quality. Don't watch the games. Just watch all our faces, because we cost way more. I'm going to tell you, we cost way more than $10. But we'll be back after a quick commercial break with the next match in the open bracket. Stay tuned.